Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for BoardGameGeek TV. I'm sitting down with Leo Boyd of Backspindle Games, and you brought us Clacks, which I'm so excited. You got the licensing for Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Yes, that's right. This is our second Discworld game. This one we've been working on it for a while, but we got the license last year, and we finally managed to get it into production this year, so we're very excited ourselves.
So for those who are a fan of the book series,
yep.
This does target a particular, since the books are kind of grouped into sets,
yes.
It sort of does target a particular group of the Discworld
This
series.
basically is based around one single book, although there's elements that appear in other books. It's the book Going Postal, and that's where the idea come from. And the whole story in Going Postal ends in a race between the post office and the Clacks system. For those who don't know what the Clacks is, I always explain it as saying, if you put our history beside the Discworld's history, at the point of time when we invented telegraph, they invented the Clacks, okay? It's their equivalent, but theirs is tall, very unstable towers with little guys inside pulling levers and pushing pedals and opening flaps and shutters everywhere to transmit messages from hilltop to hilltop. So that's what the game's based around, okay? There's several ways you can play the game. It can be played as a competitive game, it can be played solitaire, or it can be played as a cooperative game. But it all uses this center section of the board. That's the engine of the board. And what you're looking at there is the latest thing in punch card operated Clacks technology, okay? So we've got our Clacks alphabet. On the Clacks alphabet, each letter is formed out of a 3x2 block of 6 lights, okay? So that's your job as a Clacks operator. You have to switch on lamps and switch off lamps to create those letter patterns. Now, if you were playing a competitive game, each person would get a message card, okay? And they have to race to transmit their message before the others. If you were going to do the competitive race, that makes it cooperative, and you would draw 2 cards. So this would be your message cards. So we've got Gollum. Oh my God, Gollum's a thief.
Gollum thief.
We've got to tell these guys, they've got to know, okay? So we got to send a message. Now how do we do that? As I said, it's a punch card operated system. So inside here are punch cards, or they're known as jack cards, okay? So I'll set a few of them out so people can see, okay? And what they are is little punch cards with different patterns in them. When you're playing the game, you will have a number of these in your hand. Now you can rotate those any way you want, as long as they fit within the grid. But if you play them, you must turn over every tile in that pattern. So if I played that one, I could turn over that tile, that tile, that tile, and that tile. So if it's on, it goes off. If it's off, it goes on. I could also rotate it that way, or I could play this one. So players will have a number of these in their hand. Now on the bottom of the cards, there's these little cogs. They're known as stress points. Certain cards put more stress on the machine than others. So in a cooperative race, those are used to control the movement of the post office. This is our little Moist Von Lipwig here. He's going to be racing against you. So we will be working as a team, taking it in turns to try and create these letter patterns. We have to transmit that word, followed by a space, which is shown on the card here. And then we transmit that, and then an end to end the message. So people will be just taking in turns, fitting these patterns in where they can to turn the lights on and off. Every time we transmit a letter, we mark it off on this, and we light up our next tower. But every point we spend here moves our little postman along his track. So basically the whole thing is we got to transmit 12 symbols, and we got to do it before he gets there. So every time we put one on, he's going to move further with every point we spend. So we've got 2 options. We can take an easy route this way, and there's a more difficult route you can try if you're feeling up to it on that route. That's the basic of the game. You see, the competitive game is slightly different in that each person is transmitting their own message, and it's just a race against each other.
Right. And I was going to say that's what those colored dots are used for, is so that we're kind of working one direction versus the other direction.
That's correct. So there's a start button on each side of the thing, and that's where you take your code from. So if you're on green, you're working on the green dots. If you look at a green dot, there's 6 lights centered around each green dot. That represents the 6 lights of that tower. And that's what you got to create your pattern somewhere within those 6 lights.
Now, I've been seeing you guys have had quite a few demo tables of this out of the reception. Yes. People having a lot of fun over there.
Having a lot of fun, and I think part of the reason is, I say, there's a load of ways to play it.
I was going to say, normally I ask about how long a game plays, but in this it entirely depends on what flavor of Clacks you're playing.
Well, generally it would still last about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes for a 4-player game. But within each format of the game, you can play 3 or 4 different variations of the race game, the cooperative. Within the competitive game, again, there's 3 or 4 different levels. Like, for instance, if you want to play something a bit more pressure, you bring in the sand timer, you play Clacks Express. Every person's only got 60 seconds to transmit their message, or their next letter. You can do it that way. There's also a solitaire version of the game. And also in the rulebook we have a junior race version, which strips out all the stress points and things like that, and just becomes a straight race between 2 players, which is a great way to teach younger players how to recognize the patterns and how to form the patterns.
Pattern puzzles.
Yes, that's basically what the whole game's about. It's pattern recognition. Somebody described it today as Tetris with a secret code involved, because it's basically just fitting these shapes in, but you're trying to create the patterns that way instead of building a wall.
Well, that is a lot of flexibility and a lot of different flavors built into one not very, very big box.
No, no. And I think that's what people have been enjoying this weekend. It's just the fact they can play it so many different ways.
And the fact that people who are fans of the books and Terry Pratchett just, can geek out on a whole nother level.
Totally.
Well, Leo, thank you so much for bringing us by Clacks, and that's by Spindle Games.
Thank you.